Where there are male-dominated interests, there will be a massive amount of aftermarket customization. The firearms industry is no exception to this rule, a place where aesthetics, life and death, and wanting to look the coolest and perform the best all come together in a massive amalgamation of one. And in this video, we'll be taking a look at a stock Glock versus a Gucci Glock. The goal is to see if the price tag is worth it for the performance you get. We will be doing a number of different drills based off of realistic events that have taken place in the world, along with some other drills just as controls for speed and accuracy. My hypothesis: I think the Gucci Glock will shoot better, but it is more expensive. Enough yapping, let's dive on in. Don't Narcan me. I paid good money for this thing. Tactical. Now, we all want the most out of our stuff. The problem is a Gucci Glock can easily cost as much as 3 times as just a regular stock Glock. Now, we're using the Glock platform in this video as kind of a catch-all. You can take this concept and really apply it to any platform. The reason we're going with Glock is because for a lot of people, it's what they have. It's one of the most widely available handguns probably on the market, and there is a massive amount of aftermarket customization that can go into it. There are entire industries propped up around tricking out Glocks. The competitors for today can be Glock 45 all tricked out, Trijicon Red Dot, Surefire X300, a Lander slide with the porting on top. We have a mag funnel, a stippled lower that's an agency Glock 45 lower with a agency trigger. The goal was trigger, porting, red dot, kind of make it a cooler, Gucci'd out gun. The slide work looks cool, you know, it's a big aesthetic in my mind, and then the porting I think will show a big advantage. It's going against a stock Glock 19, Gen 3, one of God's finest creations. Gentlemen, this video is made possible thanks to sponsors. Sponsors like Americana Pipe and Apparel, fantastic young Zoomers in the milsurp world and arena. They have all the stuff to take your LARP to the next level, and I would encourage you to go check them out. We also have to give a big thank you to Optics Plant, the optics sponsor of the channel. And of course, the ammo provided for all this shooting is from the ammo sponsor, Badlands Ammo. Using 124 grain ammo, some good training stuff, full metal jacket, a little bit more full powered than 115, and I think it's appropriate. Much appreciation to the Badlands guys, local Arizona company. I love you, Badlands Ammo. I love you. All right, to start off this shindig, we're gonna do a build drill, get a little bit warmed up on each handgun, and then move into some more realistic drills that I looked up via the interwebs. Starting first, we have the stock Glock 19, gonna be shooting from concealment because I think carrying concealed is the most realistic way to carry a handgun if you don't get paid to carry one and you're just a concerned citizen. Okay, that was 6 rounds. I'll target on the right. You know, it's all A zones. We're like 6 or 7 yards away, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, time. Crap. Let's try that again. .279. But my group, I had 1 Charlie. The rest were all alphas. 1 Charlie. Unacceptable. Now let's try it with the Gucci Glock. .243, this is the group that we're working with compared to the Glock 19. Let's do 1 more on this real quick because we did 2 on the stock Glock. I want to see where we sit. You know, for the time in the group, I mean, we're only 6, 7 yards away. I'm pretty rusty on a handgun right now compared to my buddies who are all probably like non-stop shooting their handguns. Ah, got a Charles. .241, 1 Charlie. Is the time faster? I didn't keep track of the Glock 19 time. So from this distance, gauging the time, whatever my editor puts in because he's keeping track of this in the editing studio, the grouping on the Gucci Glock a lot tighter. It has that porting and it has that trigger. Cool. Now really quick, I gotta explain the concept of the Gucci Glock. Although the term Gucci is just a reference to anything that gets tricked out, right? And we take that terminology and that slang and apply it to firearms, there you go, you get the Gucci Glock. It has nothing to do with the brand Gucci, unfortunately. It'd be kind of funny if it did, but maybe a massive C&D is on the way. Just like anything, the goal is performance, and with that porting and with that trigger, I think this thing is gonna give the stock Glock a very much run for its money, but we shall see. Now, there was a drill that captivated the gun industry and a lot of the dancing YouTube monkeys for a bit, myself included, and it was the Dickens Drill. And from what I was seeing at the time of those drills to what came out later, the drill's a little bit different. I believe it used to be 40 yards, 10 rounds in 15 seconds. From what I read, for this video, there was an update to it. Eli was eating dinner in the food court with his girlfriend. At 5:57 p.m., the shooter began firing at shoppers in the other side of the food court, emerging from a hallway. He eventually fired a total of 24 rounds from his AR-15, killing 3 people. Eli reacted by pushing his girlfriend to the floor and took up a position of cover behind a pillar. Fired his first 2 shots just a few seconds after the gunman started shooting. His first shots were fired from a stabilized position atop a trash can and from approximately 40 yards away from the bad guy. Dickens was forced to stop shooting as bystanders ran in front of his muzzle at 40 yards in a public space. This is near certainty. He then had an opportunity to fire 2 more shots from that position and distance. Out of those first 4 shots, he scored 2 hits. By this time, the bad guy had begun to retreat back into the hallway that he came from. Dicken then moved to close the distance and get into position to re-engage with the now moving threat. At a distance of approximately 20 yards, he fired 4 more shots, gaining 4 more hits. Finally, Eli closed the distance to about 20 to 25 feet for the last 2 shots, fired as the bad guy stumbled to the ground. At this point, the threat was over. The approximate amount of time from the bad guy started the attack to when the shooting stopped was 15 seconds, and I believe I got that article from concealedcarryforfree.com. So the drill, there's a little bit of amendment to what we saw because everyone was shooting from 40 yards of their entire string of fire back when this drill did come out. So there seems to be an update to it if we're going to do it. 4 braced at 40 yards, bound forward to 20 yards, 4 more shots, bound forward to 7 yards, 2 more shots. In theory, the bad guy would be on the ground by then, but we're just gonna have him still standing because he's invincible until I get there. We'll start off with the Gucci Glock. We're gonna start at 40 yards from the truck braced, roughly gonna gauge at 20 yards and roughly gauge everything else, kind of as Eli would have done. Hopefully my shot timer don't fall off. Gee golly. Okay. 18-13. A little slow, big dog. Elijah Dickens did this in under 15 seconds.
I think a member of SEAL Team 6, responding as he did would have been impressive.
Okay. Of all the rounds fired, this is the result with the Gucci Glock. 1, 2, 3, 4, Charlie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Alpha. Missing 1 round. That means we got a flyer. Means I goofed. It's supposed to be 10 rounds. Let's try it on the stock Glock. I am agility. I am speed. I am agility. Shit! Also, fair point out, maybe my time's a little bit slower because I'm running at a slight angle uphill. Or maybe I just suck. It's kind of an awkward brace position because I have to go to the side because I'm too lazy to move my truck. But, stock Glock 19 Gen 3. .2844? Can't be right. Much too fast for that. All right, only 7 rounds on the silhouette. So, ooh, line break. I'll count that as a Charlie. 4 Charlies, 3 Alphas. Gucci Glock won that round. Next drill inspired by Jack Wilson from that church shooting where he stopped with 1 round from a .357 SIG. We're gonna use this target because the head box is clean. We are going to shoot from approximately 25 yards from the concealed holster and gauge our results, our managerial results. .232. Check if we got a hit or not with the stock Glock. Nope, not even low. .279. I don't feel good about that. Nope, missing. We're missing clean with the stock Glock. Another thing is that in the real life situation, I believe Mr. Wilson was shooting across the congregation, really had to time his shot to make sure no other parishioners got up and would get in the line of fire. .258. It's not looking good, Colton. Oh, it's looking good. All right, 3rd time's the charm. Got the impact that I wanted. Just outside of the credit card, but in the right enough spot to stop this bad cardboard shooter. Wow. All right, Gucci Glock. .238. Oh, that's embarrassing. Even with the Gucci Glock, bro can't pull it off. Let's try it again. .347, well, I took my time on that. Bro took his time just to miss, it seems. Gun works. Well, no. .276. Shot low. This is new, right? Right? There was 4 Charlies, 3 Alphas. This is new. So we hit low. Damn. I'm done. It's a matter of pride now. .209. 4th time's the charm. All right, so I will say, despite me needing to warm up, that's a pretty tough shooting drill. Handguns already are hard guns to master due to their nature, right? At very minimum, you have 1 point of contact handgun. At 2, with your other hand, you have 2 points of contact and that's it. Unlike a rifle where you have a much better killing capacity along with like 5 points of contact. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if you hit the deck or something, I don't know. I'm not a firearms instructor. I'm kind of retarded. Take everything I say and do it with a grain of salt, because clearly I can't even hit shit. But handguns are hard guns to master. I've been shooting for years now. Granted, I'm a little bit rusty coming out trying to shoot a handgun today. That being said, I'm not terrible. Like, I can get my rounds where I want them to be just about.
It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
But if I had a course of fire, you know, you do 500 rounds, 1,000 rounds, you would get pretty warmed up and get pretty locked back into it. I'm having fun. I'm having fun, and I want to do one more drill. So let's do it. Let's do it. Because I don't feel like changing out the cardboard targets, we're gonna do a modified Mozambique, going for the pelvic girdle, because my bad guys are armored. And then we're gonna finish them off in the face.
Oh, what? No, it's a metaphor. Like, I'm gonna kill him with my gun.
Nah.
I'm gonna take his life.
Life or his ass?
Bro.
3 to the pelvic girdle, 1 to the head on each target. Of course, time and accuracy being a factor. We're shooting from a distance where I can actually hit them because I suck. Good to know. .425. Okay. Gucci Glock, nice tight grouping into our pelvic girdle. Outside the credit card box on the head. Inside the credit card box on the second target. Wider grouping. Let's try the stock Glock. .480. think from this distance, I don't know if it really matters that much, but I was, as it seems, wider on the bottom 3 with the Glock 19, because I believe this is the Gucci Glock. So we have the stock Glock, and then I got the credit card hit, another credit card hit, stacking it, and then it looks like a little bit looser on this guy, considering we're missing another round in there. So there should be 6, there's 5 right there. Looks like we clipped the very bottom of his testes. Sorry, dog, bad day to be cardboard. I think this video serves a good purpose because there's always new people coming into the firearms realm, and then they see guys that have these tricked out Gucci guns and maybe they don't have the budget for it, and in reality a lot of it just comes down to trigger time. If you can get to a course, get to some training that will actually put you through your paces with some good vetted instructors, then I think you will be pretty good and dialed in. I've seen it both ways. I've been outshot by guys that just had nothing but irons on a stock Glock, and I was running a red dot. They were out shooting me at, you know, like 50, 60, 70 yards. We're doing some fun competitions. So I think it really does come down to the shooter yourself. How good are your skills? Where I think the Gucci-ness comes into play, you know, better trigger, some sort of like porting or compensator, is giving you that slight extra edge. I think if you build a foundation, become a good shooter, everything after that should start to help. I have some boomerism hangups though when it comes to aftermarket Glock triggers. I typically only ever run stock Glock internals, trigger, whatever else is in there. I think there was a point in time back in the day when Glock triggers weren't as like safe and reliable, and I totally could just heard some like fake boomerisms, or that could have been the case. Ever since then, I still have had the heebie-jeebies when it comes to actually carrying a Glock. So that's maybe some of my own personal hangups, and they've gotten good to go since then. All right, so how'd we do? So between the stock Glock and the Gucci Glock, it seemed the Gucci Glock performed slightly better in some instances. Does it warrant the higher price tag? Ultimately, in some ways, I think no. In other ways, I think yes. Where I think the money is well spent is on a red dot of some kind. I think a red dot is going to be pretty standard going forward into the future for a handgun. Handguns in my training are not great at putting down people. Handgun wounds are very survivable. In the training that I received in the law enforcement world, it was often joked that handguns were like just above less lethal because of all the people that survived handgun wounds. Where that comes into play is putting down a bad guy, especially one in a hyper extreme scenario. Say a bad guy rolls up wearing body armor, wearing a ballistic helmet, has a rifle, you're on the back foot massively because you're reacting to the violence that is the OODA loop, right? That guy's already committed to the violence. You're now having to react to his violence, and your window of opportunity for putting down that threat is pretty small. Even if he has armor on the pelvic girdle, you're pretty much only option is hitting this little T-box up here, that's whatever distance, and he has the advantage with a rifle. So I would say for law enforcement and civilians, training with a handgun is very important. For the law enforcement world, it's what they have on them at all times. For us armed civilians, it's what we have on us pretty much all the time, unless you're going into a restricted area or they're gonna screen you for a handgun. Clearly, you saw, in this instance, my poor shooting with both, especially out to distance, which I think is something that I need to always stay on top, and it's a good example of you can learn from how rusty I am to show that, yeah, I may shoot a lot of guns sometimes, but I may not be trained to the point where I should be training to be proficient with hitting those headshots out the distance. A cold start headshot, and that technically wasn't even a cold start headshot, is gonna be hard to place, you know, just doing one round. So chances are you're gonna end up firing more rounds. You also have to keep in mind what your backdrop is, right? There's a lot that goes into this stuff, and I'm trying not to get too into the weeds, but staying on track with the Gucci versus the stock. I think if you're balling on a budget, you should be able to get away with a stock Glock, taking all that money that you would put into a Gucci Glock and throwing it into ammo for training, because you can do dry firing, but I think there's no good substitute for actually putting lead down range to really learn and get some feedback. Typically and realistically, where I personally sit is somewhere in the middle. I don't really Gucci out my Glocks. The Glocks that I used on the road all had a red dot and a Surefire X300, and the only mod that I really do to this thing is a extended slide stop, so I don't run the risk of hitting it when it's on the frame like I sometimes have the risk of doing with my shooting grip. It could be a problem on me, but it's the way I am because I'm built different like that. I'm a basic dude. We're doing the more full-size weapon light for this instance because I wanted to have the control using the LAS holster for both guns. So in conclusion, I think it really just comes down to training. The more time you can get behind that gun, the more proficient you'll be, then you should be good to go. I don't think you need to splurge a lot of money on a handgun, considering that you could probably take that money and put it elsewhere, but I think having a good handgun on you is important. And I think the red dot is the big force multiplier in that sense, because shooting with the red dot on your handgun makes life that much more enjoyable. I think pretty fair. Think it's pretty fair? Yeah. All right. Science. We attempted it. We attempted it today. Gentlemen, got nothing else for you. As always, I will catch you on the flip. It really is just the Glock 17 with an acro P2. Always was. A little sussy wussy.